Alright, I started off with about a quarter cup or half a cup, somewhere between there, of grease I'd been saving. You can see some grease on top still hadn't melted. And 2 pounds of bacon that I cut in half and put it all in there. And because I'm trying to get it to render the fat, I'm going to put the top on it for just a little bit. You want the moisture to escape, just trying to keep the heat in to help all the other bacon start um, getting hot. Alright, we're only a few minutes into this and the oil is starting to bubble. And see how it's rendering on the bottom there? So just take some of that hot oil, see how it's starting to break apart. So now just kind of shift some of those pieces that are breaking apart on top. Put the ones that are, just kind of mix them up. Get that hotter oil on them. As it's rendering itself, it's starting to come apart. So no reason to sit there and try to get them all come apart. See what I'm saying? OCD crowd out there is probably going, what? But it ain't even, it ain't right. Just playing. They're good people too. But as you move it around, they start coming apart. And keep in mind, these things their shapes don't set until they cool off. And so that's why this works. So if you think about it, how on earth would the army or big crowds ever enjoy bacon if you had to cook it 4 slices at a time? This is the method for the crowds. But see, all that oil in there is starting to get hot. I'm going to put the lid back on it just one more time, but after it really starts to boiling, I'll bring it back. Alright, so I've turned it up to about midway on the knob. I started off slow until I got all this stuff rendered and started. Now I'm kicking it up a notch because bacon's got a lot of water in it. That's what the tricks of the trade is on hamburger meat and other meats. They put water in there and say water weight, so it has to evaporate out. So you can see it's just all starting to come apart now. Doubles are becoming singles. See? You just separate them. Get in there. And as this thing gets to the end, you'll start picking out the pieces that are by color, basically. And so they'll be good in red, reddish brick color, maybe, I don't know. You'll see. It's just great value 2-pound bacon. You can see how it's starting to bubble now. It's starting to boil, water's starting to come out of it. Alright, you don't want to play with it too much. I'm just looking in there to make sure I hadn't missed too many pieces. Alright. There's another little bunch that I missed. It needed to be separated out a little bit. See, it's starting to tear, so you want to just start leaving it alone. Using tongs might help with that tearing, I don't know. Alright. So right now, I'm just moving it around a little bit, make sure all the oil stays on it. But you can see, there's a lot of steam coming off. That's that water coming out. And it'll start to fry once it quits steaming. Kind of like hamburger helper in a way. Yeah. But anyway. And I just now realized I need to clean my stove. I had spaghetti, and I thought I cleaned it all up, but I see a drop or two left. I was tired. Alright, I've switched over to the tongs. The way it allows me to kind of turn it over. The, the grease is what's cooking. So, I don't know if you can tell, but the boiling part of it is starting to go down. It's not so many bubbles coming out. So it's starting to get, see like right over there, how it's still pretty bubbly. That's the water. So I'm just going to turn the heat up just a little bit, not much. Just because I'm kind of a little impatient. I think leaving it at this level is probably okay. Because it's rendering. You see how this side's not bubbling and that side is bubbling. So I'm going to turn it up just a little bit. Spin the pan, get the hot sides, hot spots moving. As a matter of curiosity, I decided to get my favorite little thermometer out. You can see that water has still got this thing down to under 200 degrees. Once the water comes out of it, it should start going above 200 degrees. Because it's boiling. The boiling temperature of water. So once that stops, the temperature will start going up to a frying temperature. That's when you start watching. It's getting close. 212, 214. So that's why it's boiling. So eventually it'll start splattering, because that's what causes splatters, that last bit of oil spitting the water out. The water steaming and popping out. But getting close now. It's getting nearly done. Now you're starting to hear it sizzle. I'm just gonna, again, just mixing this all up. And then see those pieces like that? At the very end, you're gonna wanna kind of position them in the flat position. So you want to use your tongs and fork both, or maybe even 2 forks. You can see or hear it, how it's starting to get a little darker. You know, I'm just moving that hot oil around. So if you think about it, when you do 3 or 4 pieces, the fat renders and you shallow fry it. That's all this is. It's just I added more oil because I needed it deeper in this pan to be able to shallow fry this much bacon at one time. And this will be more like what you get at Shoney's. There'll be little pieces that are still kind of underdone, or not really underdone, just not, you know what I'm saying. Won't be consistent, I guess. But you'll see what I'm talking about here at the end. It's nearly there. See how it's, just to show you the pieces, see how they're still pretty much the same length. They're curling over on themselves. As fat does. So as I start taking pieces out, I might take a few pieces out early, because sometimes I like to kind of par cook it, freeze it, that way it don't take so long to finish cooking itself, and it'll have a little grease stuck to itself to help it. But see how down in there it's starting to get color's starting to change. I guess there's some sugars in it or something that makes it do that. I don't know. But watch that heat, because I got this up on a little higher heat right now. Matter of fact, I'm going to get the thermometer back out and see if it's starting to go above 200 degrees. Let's lay it on a piece of fat there. You don't really want to test the bottom of the oven. Yeah, there we go. Look, it's starting to go up now. So I'm going to imagine just like any other fry, around 325 to 350 is probably where you want your oil to be setting. I've never actually tested it before. This is new for me too right now. So yeah, but it's starting to, you can hear it sizzling. That's when you know you're starting to cook. You're past the rendering stage. The olive is starting to get good and bubbly now. I imagine you'll be able to tell by smell too. So we're still at 250. Yeah, depending on where you're at in the pan. And so here in about another 5 minutes, we ought to be starting getting some pieces done. And how I usually know is the pieces start foaming. It'll start looking foaming because all this moisture is coming out of it, which is what's keeping it pliable right now. So as it starts to foam, it'll be pretty good. So it'll be foamy, but don't wait for it to stop foaming. See like how that's starting to foam? Now we know it's starting. Time to watch. And time to turn too. You need all the other stuff under the oil. Alright. Alright. Now look at the color. Let's check the temperature. I've never actually tracked the temperature before. So I know on my stove about 7 will get oil up to 350 or 325. So this is holding, I guess it creeps up to 325. You can see how it's starting to foam everywhere now and sizzle. That means the water is nearly gone. It's holding at about 230, 235. Yeah, it's pretty steady, 235. So now's a good time to start straightening the bacon. What does that mean? So, take it out. Any of them that's all kind of like clumped up or curled up. And some of it's going to shrink because this has got a lot of water in it. You know, this is the Great Value brand. But any brand probably has a lot of water in it. They try to sell you the water. But yeah, anywhere you see that it might still be clumped up, just pick it up and straighten it. Kind of like you do. Oh, there you go. See how it's starting to look right? See? I'm going to turn it real quick so the color will stay right. But see how it's starting to look like bacon? Looks like cooked bacon all of a sudden. So this is when it starts tapping pretty fast. See? Let's start straightening it out. It'll be a little curly. It's like you get when you used to go to Shoney's for people that used to do that. Or any buffet where they're making whole bunches of bacon at one time. This is probably the reason. It's probably the way they cook it. Probably deep fry it. And bacon fat. See, that piece right there is looking pretty good. Just get it out, and while you're doing this, it's still cooking. Pieces on the bottom will start getting better and better. Matter of fact, it's really easy to let this go a little too far. Times I've tried it before. I don't normally cook this much bacon, but I got a thing I'm doing. You can see See how it's all starting to foam now? It means it's starting to get to the right, see? Right consistency. So there might be some pieces in there. If you're like people that like floppy bacon versus crispy or extra crispy. This is getting really close. So here in about another minute, I'll start taking it out. See, right there? Let's take that one out. And what I'll do is I'll just let it hang for a minute. See, it's the right color. So it's time to come out. I'm gonna take it all out. Now, so what I'm gonna do, it'll help just a little bit, because I'm gonna move this to the side so oil will go to one side. I'll start taking it off the top. This is where you need two hands, so I'm gonna have to straighten my bacon out so it'll all look right. Alright, so here I am taking it out. Just putting it over in a pile. See how much oil is in there. Like I said, it was deep frying. And I'm gonna test that oil real quick. I'll turn the eye off so to quit getting the oil hotter. So you can see it. I'm just gonna sit there and I'm gonna pick it out, straighten it like this. So I do that with two hands. Might even do it with my fingers, but see that piece right there. Some of it will do that. But that's good old grease right there. So now that I got them all laid out, I'm just putting a napkin on it because I'm trying to soak up some grease. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take probably a plate or something, but I'll maybe bring all these to one side and put them all on top of a napkin just to wick some of the oil off of it, grease. That's what it looks like. As a matter of interest, that ended up getting to 250. But when I took all this out, I temped it real fast. So there's a big old plate of bacon. You know, some of it's, you know, like I said, it freezes once it thaws, or once it cools. It kind of keeps it sets its shape. And when you take this out of the freezer and you put it back in the pan, it'll get pliable. You can straighten it back out again. And then, like I said, I'm gonna probably take all this to one side and put some napkins under it, just to let it get some of them a little drier, because I'm gonna eat it today. But pieces that are going in the freezer, it's okay to keep a little oil on them, because when you put them in the pan, a warm pan, it don't take much. The grease will then melt just like butter, and it'll get pliable again, and you can straighten it out or make it crispier even if you want to, but you gotta be careful. They do it over low heat, otherwise it'll start frying some more. Like that piece right there might fry a little bit more. But anyway, that's bacon. 2 pounds of bacon cooked at one time. I think it took about 30 minutes. That was time of heating the oil and to this point. Alright, I just got them, I just laid them out in layers so their own weight will help press them down. One side note, when I go to strain this to keep the oil, you don't want all the little bits there, but that sure makes a good gravy. I'm tempted to make a gravy this morning. Gravy. Dough. So I just flipped it. You can see how it's wicking. Some of it came off the tray, but some of it came off the bacon. So as I turn it, You see this? How it kind of shines a little bit. That's the oil. Not a big deal. Then I'm just going to put it in a Ziploc and a little plastic container. And that way the plastic container is because this stuff gets brittle. I found out that if you put it in a Ziploc by itself, it makes crumbs. As you move around stuff to look for stuff in the freezer, it gets a little too brittle. You can see how it's a lot of oil come off of it. Some rat in the garbage in the dump love that particular rag. I'm just putting it over there. This is about as much as you need to come off there. It's bacon after all. It's just fat and meat, so it ain't like it. You're not gonna get your hands a little greasy. Now at this stage, this is not crispy done. This is still pliable. If you want it crispy done, after you take that out, you just put it back in there and give it just a minute or two longer, and it'll crisp it on up. Microwave might even do it. Just put a splatter shield on top or a napkin. All right, 2 pounds of bacon right there. I would taste it, but I always think it's ridiculous, because what are people gonna do? That was terrible. I shouldn't have made this video. That ain't never gonna happen. It's always gonna be good, unless they get a objective reviewer tasting it on camera for them. But then why would they post a video? Soapbox. All right, I'm getting ready to make some pancakes, and so I put most of that in the freezer, and so as the weeks go by, I'll take enough out there to make a couple sandwiches. But so what I'm showing you is I'm letting this pan come up to temperature for pancakes, and as it does, so these pieces that are curled up, and there's no, that right there, I can't get it straightened back out again. This piece either. And so I'm okay with it being not extra crispy, but some others want it just a little crispier. So look, there's a piece that ended up being balled up, and so I'm just gonna lay it there. You'll notice as it warms, I won't be able to do this and show you on the camera, but basically what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take the fork and I'm just gonna lay it out flat, and then I'll put it back over there and let it get cool again flat. But this part right here will start foaming, and it'll make it a little crispier. So the finer the bubbles, the crispier it is, and if it quits bubbling, you've already got burnt popcorn. All right, I finally got them straightened out. Now I will admit this, as curled up as those were, you would only straighten those out for a loved one or a girlfriend. Guys know what I mean by that one. But anyway, like I said, they say they've straightened back up, they've gotten pliable again, and all I do is just see the foaming, just a little bit of tight bubbles. But if you're not careful, they'll go too far. So you don't do it on real high heat, just do it on low heat. See how it's starting to get a little brown? Alright, these are coming off, and I'm just do the pancakes. When you lay them over there on the rack, lay them out straight. And even that little bitty curly piece, don't know if you can tell, but I'm using that because I got the camera in my hand, but it'll, I didn't do that one because it was already about like I like it. But that's about as straight. See how they got a little crunchier, a little stiffer now. Alright, that's it. We now have 2 pounds of bacon cooked. Alright, to everybody out there that uses cast iron casually, like I do. I've been using this on and off for, I don't know, 10 years. It's finally got like a build up on it. You can see all that build up, that crust. And that's not really seasoning, or seasoned. Well, seasoning, that's funny. You see how it's built up all over it? So I'm gonna heat it up. And as I do, as it starts getting hot, it'll start, an interesting thing will start happening. Those little crevices and bubbles, or bubbles will form under all of that. And it's oil. I've actually spreaded it out. You know, it won't evaporate. It's just a little oil that's trapped somehow or another in that stuff. And it ain't never been unsafe to use until now. I was trying to get something off of it, and I scratched through in a few places, and it's got rust. And I thought this would be a good time to re-season this pan. You know, summer's here. It's about as hot as it gets. I should have done this in the winter. Well, it's spring outside, not summer, but in the house, trying to do this in house is really too hot. It needs to be done outside, and then to have a fire outside. Alright, I'm heating up this old cast iron pan. It's been handed down to me. I've been using it for a bunch of years on and off. Make pancakes and fried cornbread, and I've even made hamburger helper in it. All kind of stuff. But anyway, over the years, you can see how it's gotten. And not too long ago, I was trying to clean, I think I was cooking an egg in it, or might have been some fish, and it got stuck to it, and I scraped it a little bit, and I must have scraped on through and got it a little rusty. But I thought I'd show this because as I'm heating it up, I don't know if you can tell, here's where it looks when it's dry. It's like got oil trapped in under that. See how it's getting shiny? Getting shinier. And so all that crusty stuff, I'm gonna get it off there. And I have put it on my stove and let it carbonize, I guess is what you'd call it, but it'll get kind of gray sooty. You can do it you can use your oven cleaning function to do it too. But I am going to use lye this go around because I got several pans that I'd like to re-season. And so I was watching some videos about different ways people do it, and I think I'm going to try the lye. I'm going to have to sand those little spots right there, but because lye won't take rust away. Someone said use heavy duty easy off, so I may try a can of that. There we go. So right over in there, let's see as this thing's getting hotter and hotter. Like right in there. Let's see. I don't know if I can get the little bubbles. I can see it, but I'm not sure. See how it's kind of wet looking? Starting to get a little wet looking over there. Right there. It's kind of frying is what it's doing. I don't know if I can get that or not. Try a different angle. Let's do a little zooming in. Maybe that'll work. Let me see if I can Find a spot. There we go. See it? Right there next to my fork. See these little bubbles moving? Right in there. Like I said, this stuff, see, maybe I can move it a little bit. There's some more. But that stuff is caught up under there. Let's see if this side's doing it. This side's not doing it as much. That side over there is just ready. It's a little crusty. A little too crusty, actually, when it starts holding stuff in the edges. See it bubbling right there? That got a little soft, actually. That's good. That means that Easy Off, I'll have a good time with it. Like I said, I'm just going to re-season it. It's all a little crusty. So, just so you know, there's people out there that think you should never wash your pan. That's not true. You should absolutely wash your pan. Just don't let it set long. So what I do is I'll use a weak solution, but it's hand washed. Weak solution of soap, dishwashing soap, and I'll get all that stuff out of there, and then I'll take a little bit of my bacon grease or oil or something and put a real thin coat on it so it don't rust. But if you got a good thick coat on it, water won't get down to the bare metal. So you don't leave it soaking, in other words. If you leave it soaking, all this stuff will come off. But if you just go around it real quick, clean it. I use a scouring pad, everything. I've been using it for years. And then if it gets a little rusty, take a little piece of sandpaper, throw a little bit of bacon grease or Crisco. I don't use Crisco anymore because it's not really the same Crisco as my granny used to use. Even though it says Crisco, it's a different product. Lard is good. Anything just to coat it with. As a matter of fact, cooking, like maybe doing a shallow fry, like bacon, just put a pound of bacon in it. That'd do you best. But just use it. Using it is the best thing you can do. And then every once in a while, if you use it, it's going to get like this. I will show you the product when I get ready to do the Easy Off. But see how it's getting hot now? It's all up in there, starting to bubble, and that gets released into the food. That's why we don't do it. Over here is still good and dry because that's where I cook. That's where I use it the most. But now with all this stuff, I can't really use it for, say, a liquid dish because that stuff come out into it. I can use it for pancakes, and eggs maybe. But anyway, just an update.